Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Self-Published Strong podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Pearson, and I'm joined today by my husband.
Hi, I'm Nolan.
And I just realized that I don't remember asking you for a quote. I asked you, right? All right, go ahead and read it.
Opportunity comes when you put action into pursuing your dreams, by Shawn Manaher.
Shawn Manaher. Shawn Manaher is the owner of Reading Deals, which, by the way, Reading Deals is a great website if you want to run promotions and things like that. And Shawn is he's got a mind for entrepreneurial things. He's pretty intelligent. He's very fast moving. He stays on top of things. So he's somebody I like to watch, and he posts quotes frequently that are his own on his wall that are uplifting and interesting. So let's see. Opportunity comes when you put action into pursuing your dreams. So I think we've talked about this quite a bit, that, that you create the momentum, you create the luck,
Not just that, but I mean, it's like, so I'm looking for somebody who does it. You can't have a number one book. People can't look for your book until you've wrote it.
Until you've written it.
Yeah. People, you can't be the star player on the football team unless you know how to throw a football.
Exactly. And that comes with practice and work and, as he says, putting action into things.
People are looking for skills, really good, skillful people in everything, period.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, exactly.
And if you're that person and you have the skill they're looking for, then you can do a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, you can make a lot of money. You can do that thing more often instead of doing grinding work.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, I agree. So opportunity comes when you put action into pursuing your dreams. And so you push forward and you push hard to getting your dreams. And like he said, opportunity happens. Like when you're doing your stuff, then doing what you love and pushing hard on it, then things happen. People come and all of that. Okay, so the tips for today, I'm actually going to give 3 of my favorite applications and programs and websites, basically. And I've got a whole ton here, but I'm just giving 3 of them. So the first one is Natural Reader, and it's a program that reads things out loud to you. It's an absolutely fantastic way to find misused words and misspellings and things like that. So what you do is you copy and paste your document into the program and push play, and you can change the speed and the volume inside the program. It's absolutely wonderful. There's an option to upgrade, which provides more voices. Have I ever told you how much that costs to upgrade? It's like, I don't remember. It's like $80 or $200 or something. It's something astronomically, ridiculously expensive, where I'm like, it's not, the free option is good enough where I don't see the reason to upgrade, which is
that's their fault.
That's their fault.
They should have had an angry German robot voice.
That would be awesome. Have my books read to me by an angry German robot.
I don't know. Something, or Klingon. Or something.
Yeah, Klingon.
I'm quoting from Better Off Dead, a TV show.
Oh,
anyway, something like that grates a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
to
the voices aren't fantastic. It's just the options to upgrade to aren't something I would ever use. It's like where you read it, it'll read websites and things like that for you, which I don't really need.
Advice to everyone: make your premium service feel like it's worth it. I guess. I don't know.
And I think this program is for people who are deaf, and so
deaf. Like it can't read it to you.
Blind. People who are blind, and so it reads all sorts of different things, and the more you upgrade, the more reading it does, and of course the better voices. But it's wonderful. It's really, really awesome because when you're listening, and I always follow along in my manuscript so that I can see things and hear them as well, and it catches a lot of things that I don't normally catch on my own. Anyway, and then also TweetDeck, for those of you who use Twitter and don't know what TweetDeck is, it's a free program owned by Twitter, and it gives you a dashboard type experience with basically incoming Twitter messages. So you're allowed to organize by searches, by person, groups, anything basically. It's completely customizable. And back when I was using Twitter all the time, it was huge. It was absolutely fantastic. Okay, then the last one is Amazon Associates. And it always surprises me when I find out about authors who do not use Amazon Associates, because it's not a huge, but it is a significant chunk of change sometimes, So like when I'm running a huge multi-author promotion, I'll typically make around $400 off of Amazon Associates alone. So what it is, it's their program, their associate program for advertisers. So if you're advertising something on your website that people click to Amazon, you can put a little special link on your website that gives you a kickback when people buy anything on Amazon within 24 hours of clicking on your link. And
so they come to buy your book and then end up buying a refrigerator, and you get a taste.
Yeah, exactly. So not only are you getting royalties from them buying your book, but you're also getting a kickback from Amazon. And so if you are using a website or a blog and you're not using Amazon Associates, then it's money that you could be making and could be getting, which is, again, I don't want to make you all panic and be like, yeah, if I'm not doing this, I'm going to go get it done. And just set aside a day and set it up. I mean, it's a program you have to apply for, and they have to give you approval, and there's a bit of a learning curve, but it's better to do that now than later when you absolutely have zero time. And I know that there's probably people listening who are, have more books published, 50 to 100 books published, and they're really successful and they literally do not have time. But if you aren't, if a couple $100 to $400 a month, and sometimes just 50, we don't always make a whole ton on them. It depends on how much I'm pushing ads and things like that. But if $50 to $400 a month would make a difference to you, then set aside a day and apply for it and get things set up so that your website has Amazon affiliate links on it and your blog and all of that. Anyway, okay, so that's the tip for today. And we want to go over the movie schedule. Would you go ahead and give that really fast?
Okay. This week, May 16th is New Moon. Next week, May 23rd-ish, is Jurassic World. Then the following is Johnny English, and then we're having a marketing episode. Yeah,
one of the episodes where we just delve into marketing completely. Yep. Why did you pick Johnny English, by the way?
We haven't done a lot of comedies, and it's kind of a light comedy action thing, so...
Yeah, it's a spoof on...
yeah, it's a play on spy movies, like
James
Bond in particular, but not limited to.
Yeah, it's really funny. It's got Rowan Atkinson in it, and again, who's Rowan Atkinson?
And there's a second one, and they're making a third one. So
Rowan Atkinson. I was actually asking you, who is Rowan Atkinson?
Oh, who is Rowan Atkinson? A comedy guy, Mr. Bean. You may have heard
he's
of?
Mr. Bean. Most people will know who Mr. Bean is.
Blackadder.
Yeah, Blackadder. That's one that I didn't know of until I met you, and I actually enjoyed Blackadder. I've been wanting to watch it again,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, Johnny English. So next week is Jurassic World, which I'm really looking forward to. I think I've mentioned it a few times. I love dinosaur movies, actually. And I've been listening to our podcast again from the beginning. And Nolan, in our first episode, we told people we would delve into board games as well.
Oh.
So we should think about doing that, maybe like on Betrayal on the Hill or House on the Hill of Betrayal or whatever that's called. Or
yes,
think about doing a board game and talking about it on the podcast, because the board games have story. They have stories in them,
They can, yes.
And a lot of the ones that we play do, and just things that can be applicable to writers. But we'll think about that and figure out what we want to do. But in the meantime, let's get into our movie of the week, which is New Moon, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to tell us a bit about the characters?
No, I don't, actually. It's a continuation of Twilight.
Yeah.
Twilight Part 2. So the characters are all the same. There are no new characters.
There are.
Who?
The wolf pack.
Oh yeah, that's true. So there are some relatives of the people.
Yeah, Sam
Jacob's,
and Emily.
Yeah. So that's true. They kind of introduce that, I guess, the other side of the thing they allude to in the first movie.
Yeah.
I did forget about those guys. But generally speaking, 90% of the characters are the same.
Yeah. Bella,
Edward, all the vampires, all her high school friends, Charlie, some of the Quileute people you knew before.
Yeah.
They just add more because the Cullens leave, and that leaves a gap in Bella's life, and she fills it with that side.
Is her mom even in this movie?
No.
Yeah, you're right. I just realized, I'm like, oh, her mom's not even in this movie.
They make mention of her, like, your mother is worried about you,
Oh, that's right.
But she is not in this movie. They don't even fake talk on the phone to her or anything.
Yeah. Okay, so my comment was, do they introduce characters? So basically, this is the very first time we've done a movie that is a sequel and not just a standalone. Like Lost World is a standalone, you know. Twilight, watching New Moon without having seen Twilight first, people are going to be confused because they don't tell us who.
Very confused. Yeah, they don't really do much of a soft intro to everyone.
No, we see the group of friends. They don't tell us who they are.
Yeah.
All of the major characters are present in the first 10 minutes, not including the bad guy. But we don't get an introduction into anybody. Just pop us right back into the world, which actually works really, really well for Twilight because people know Twilight, you know. I would say that for most books, though, and I have a really hard time with this, I hated Harry Potter, book 4. Harry Potter was a boy with the lightning-shaped scar on his forehead. Yes, we know. And so there's a fine line, I think, between telling too much, you know, like giving too much of a reintroduction to characters and not giving enough. So I tend to border on the not giving enough. And I know that some of my readers are like, okay, I need a more of a refresher than you usually give. And so I just want to make sure I don't fall into the too much because some books it just really annoys me.
Well, so if your books are large and written far apart, you may want to have more of an intro between books.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If they're smaller and released closer together, you may not.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because think about watching a TV show, like the whole season of something that was on TV and released once a week or month, and then watching them back to back, it's kind of painful.
Well, like what is it? Was it Burn Notice that gives you a rundown every single episode of what happened in the previous and Chuck? And I'm like, that is not good for the Netflix era.
No,
you know?
watch binge series have to be written differently than the other way.
That's a really good point.
They just have to be, because one's watched more like a super long movie and the other is not. So I guess you just think about your format, think about that sort of thing. Like if it's really complex, you may want to give some soft reintroductions to things.
Yeah, and again, and even if it's complex, even if you're writing quickly, and lots of books, you will want to have a soft reintroduction because if you have like 100 character cast, you know, people are not going to remember even if you just publish the most recent one. Yeah.
So, I mean, just think about the scope and what the reader has to track.
Yeah.
In their heads. And
remember that the readers don't remember as well as you do.
Right. They don't have a spreadsheet with everybody's name in it and
I don't
diagrams with lots of arrows and stuff like that. Some people do.
I know. I really need to, but man.
And they spend less time reading it than you do writing it. So think about that too.
Yeah.
Anyway, something to think about.
Yeah.
The more you know.
The more you know. Okay, so let's talk about character development. There is character development.
There is
actually.
Character development.
There's quite a bit, honestly.
Yeah.
That surprises me because I hate this movie.
Yeah, which we'll get to why. But so Bella, right? She changes.
She does.
And then changes back.
Uh-huh. Well, she's forced to change. So I don't know if that's really development.
Sometimes people are forced to adapt. I mean, that's fine.
That's true. So Edward breaks up with her.
Right. The main thing of this movie is Edward and the Cullens leave.
Yeah.
And then she doesn't know what to do with herself except cry a lot, I guess, and then scream and be awful. Mopey, emo chick. And and then she tries to get out of her depression hole.
Yes, by becoming an adrenaline junkie.
Yeah, and
hanging out with Jacob.
Which is... So,
that's character development, right?
Yeah, she does. And then Edward comes back, and then she reverts to her old self. She had a glimmer there, being a normal person.
Jacob has pretty significant character development. He goes from being human to werewolf in this movie.
Jacob has the biggest, I would say.
Yeah.
Change. I mean, because he's changing from, he's crushed on Bella for a long time.
Yeah.
And then he actually gets some FaceTime with her. And then, he gets his heart ripped out and turns into a werewolf.
Yes. He goes through quite a bit.
Because he's just a sucker.
Yeah, and he's going to fall in love with her daughter, which is
creepy. He doesn't seem like he should be leading the pack. Thank you, Just saying. Oh, you're not the alpha?
He is actually.
He shouldn't be. How he acts in this movie.
I know. No, he should be the alpha because of his bloodline, but he doesn't choose to be, and so then Sam becomes the alpha.
Right, or remains, I guess.
Which they don't actually get into this a whole lot, I guess, in the last section, in the last movie. Jacob actually builds his own pack with Leah, and becomes the alpha, so we have two alphas. Anyway, that's a side note. Okay, so let's talk about the opening scene now. Go ahead, and then I'll give my little...
So, I thought the opening scene was like some like bad poetry slam, but I guess it's like part of Romeo and Juliet, so oops.
Are you talking about the old lady when she's dreaming?
No, it's before that. There's a quote like somebody saying way at the beginning.
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, so there's a little brief snippet of her running to the clock, and it's like 2 seconds long.
Yeah.
And that's like, I'm like, what's the point of that? Does it add anything to the story?
No, I mean, it is a lot about time. Like the first whole chunk of the movie is her, even it's woven throughout, but especially the beginning is her worried about time because she's going to be older than Edward. Her birthday's coming up and she's going to be older than him.
Yeah.
He's stuck at 17 and she's going to be 18.
Okay. So my question is,
so does it really in that scene?
I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
And that's a really good point. They should have made it a little bit more obvious.
Yeah. Because you don't know there's no other context yet.
Yeah.
It's just that.
Yep.
It would have been better to do that at the end of the scene with the grandma, which we're going to talk about.
So, I mean, do people who haven't read the books even care about her running there? I'm just trying to figure out.
No, that's just a bad editing choice. I would have removed that.
Yeah. So, how do you feel about her dream of her as a grandma?
I really usually hate dream sequences, especially for beginnings of movies, and you can tell it's dreamlike pretty much right away.
Yeah.
Which is good because I hate it when they freaking fake you out.
Yeah.
Pisses me off.
Yeah.
Don't jerk me around, people.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have dream sequences, have them like be dreamlike and in the middle of the movie. But this one actually works really well. So they actually did it right. It feels like a dream, and it's revealing her psychology.
Yeah.
Where she's at right away, and
tells us the theme of the series in the book,
and how much it's bothering her.
Yeah.
It sets the tone for the movie, the conflict within herself.
Yeah.
The tension between her and Edward. All this stuff is done in this scene, and it's done well. Yeah,
I actually agree. This is like one of the only dream sequences that I like because it has a purpose, and more than that, it sets tone, like you said, and it has a purpose. It tells us many things. I would say, it's
a very well constructed scene. So let's briefly describe it.
Okay.
So Bella's like walking in the forest, and she sees her grandma. Comes into a meadow, like she stares at Edward in all the time. He said bitterly. And sees her grandma there, and then Edward shows up, and she's like, "Quick, Edward, don't let her see you, be all sparkly." But he ignores her and just walks up to her, and like
they walk up to the grandma.
And then she introduces Edward to her, and she notices the grandma's like mouthing the same words she's saying,
mimicking her every move.
Yep. And then she realizes that she's the grandma.
She's looking into a mirror,
and that she's looking into a mirror, and that's going to be them in like 50 years or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, so she's paranoid, and I think it's a good. It's a legitimate concern. You know?
And then she wakes up, and she, like I said, it's her birthday. She's now older than him. He's 109, so she's just worried about getting old, and then never getting changed or getting changed too late into a vampire. I don't know, because she wants to be a vampire.
She does. She wants to be a vampire. She wants to be with Edward mostly.
Yeah,
and she doesn't want.
That's how you have to be with Edward. You have to be a vampire. There's no way not to.
Exactly.
There's no way not to be a vampire, and you can't stay the way you are. So vampire.
Yep. Exactly. Okay, so let's talk about antagonist, protagonist. I know you don't have much to say, but I'm sure you'll have something to say after you hear my point. There is no relationship between the antagonist and the protagonist. All of the conflict for the first 3/4 of the story are due to Edward breaking up with Bella.
This is true.
So we meet an antagonist, but not the antagonist halfway through the movie, and that's Laurent. And we just get very, very little brief snippets of Victoria. And I would say, the point of this story isn't, again, the point of this story is all internal. It's, it's Bella. So it's again, Edward versus Bella with the antagonist-protagonist relationship there, because Edward breaks up with her and he's a jerk.
Right. Well, I mean, at the birthday party, so it's a birthday.
Yeah.
They have a birthday party. She gets hurt. She bleeds. Jasper loses it and tries to eat her.
By the way, that scene when he's lunging for her, he was acting so strongly in character that they had to have Kellen Lutz, Emmett, and who's the other dude? Carlisle. Both of them actually had to physically restrain him, and they hadn't planned on that. He was doing so well at trying to get to Bella.
Yeah.
And your comment was, he's tiny compared to Emmett.
Yeah, he's like half Emmett's size. Anyway, so yeah, where was I going with that? Oh yeah, so she bleeds, he freaks out, and so Edward realizes that how dangerous it is for her to be around them. One slip and she's dead.
Exactly.
And he says in this, where did I say? You're the only reason for me to live if that's what I am. So there's no reason for him to stick around in life whatsoever without Bella. And so if she did die especially because of him,
that would kill him.
But she's going to die anyway.
Because she's human.
So there's a tension there, which is good. That's very well done. Anyway.
Yeah, that was a compliment to Stephanie Meyer.
Yes, I mean, there's the tension, like the romance, there's got to be a reason for them not to be together in every romance.
Yeah.
There's got to be some, even if it could be because they initially don't want to be, and then they overcome it, or it could be something external, like some societal thing, or in this case, paranormal romance thing, where one's a monster and the other is not.
Yeah, exactly.
So very well, the tension.
Or in some romances where one just doesn't want to be with the other one.
Yeah, then there's love triangles. There's other variations. Then everyone loves everyone, but you have to choose.
Yeah. Which happens.
But there should be, but there's a conflict. There's a definite conflict. There's reasons to be with this person. You really want to be with this person. That's the person you've been waiting for. But you could kill them. Yeah,
exactly.
Or you could change them, but he doesn't want to change her because he doesn't want her to die because he considers it being a vampire to being dead. Mm-hmm. So it'd be like he would be killing her because he loves her as a human. He doesn't want her to have to change.
Yeah.
He doesn't want her to live that life.
No,
either.
He doesn't. And then comes the whole where Carlisle is, they're worried about Bella's soul. And so they call themselves, they say they're damned, that they are not going to heaven. And Edward does not want to, what's the word?
Well, Carlisle says, if you believe like Edward does, could you take his soul from him?
Yeah, exactly.
And she doesn't say anything. She just, thinks about that.
Yeah, and she's like, now she realizes why it's such a big deal to Edward. Edward literally believes he is damned, which he's a vampire, so.
And he's murdered people.
Yeah.
So, he's not innocent either. It's not, he doesn't kill people now, but he's killed many people in the past.
Yeah.
So, he's got that baggage.
Exactly.
And he's killed before, and he could kill her. And he definitely wants to eat her. She'd be the most delicious thing ever, so.
Yeah.
Again, tension.
Yeah, exactly. So did you want to give your comment on dialogue?
This is some of the worst dialogue in any movie ever. Not only how it's written, but also its delivery.
And the pacing.
And the pacing of the dialogue.
It's pretty horrible.
Yeah, they break sentences up. They have artificial pauses in sentences that make it feel like it's a complete sentence, but it's not. And then they carry on with the second part of the sentence.
And we made that comment about Twilight as well.
They do it in the first one.
Yeah, pretty much every character.
And it's pretty much every character. And it's a different director.
Yeah.
I believe. So it's like, why would you continue?
Yeah, it's Chris Weitz or something like that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I agree. Dialogue's awkward. All right, so the inciting incident, I would say it's the party.
Yes, that's what I said as well.
Yeah, and it's a really, really long section of time to get to the inciting incident. And we had the same comment about Twilight, where the inciting incident in Twilight is when Edward stops the van. And in this one, it's the party. We go, it's like over 20 minutes until the inciting incident.
It's 24 minutes until she gets dumped, which happens pretty much right after the party.
Yeah.
This is a 2-hour movie. So you're a quarter of the way through the movie almost before you even understand what the whole point of it was.
Yeah. Yeah, which, I don't know, that bothers me. But I had a huge issue with the first half of the movie.
Yeah, so...
let's talk about pacing right now, yeah.
Yes, pacing. 24 minutes, she gets dumped. That's the thing that happens that makes her be depressed and then have to reach out to Jacob and then do all these crazy things in between because for some reason when she does something dangerous, she sees a ghostly apparition of Edward.
And Stephanie Meyer tried to explain that, and it wasn't a good enough explanation. I was like, meh,
they don't even
work.
Bother in the movie at all.
No.
Because like some of them have powers, but that's not his power.
No.
And so they just never really get around to it because she promised him she wouldn't do anything stupid after he left, and then she breaks her promise. What she does. So of course she does stuff like ride motorcycles with randos. Let's see, and then rides a movie with a bike with Jacob, and then
she didn't in the book. She didn't actually get on the bike with the homeboy.
Yeah, the homeboy. Yes. She goes and sees violent movies, Face Punch, which seems like a much more interesting movie than this one.
She cliff jumps,
cliff dives, all these things so that she can see this Edward warning her not to do stuff. Well, then Laurent is about to kill her. She sees, Edward tries to help her get out of that situation, but he's completely oblivious to all this. So it's not his apparition.
No.
Because he doesn't know when she doesn't die. There's a mix up, and he thinks she's dead, but she's not. So then he goes to kill himself, which is because he can't live without her.
Yeah,
right? We established that early on.
So my comment on the pacing is it's slow, awkward, and boring. And like 1 hour into the movie, it finally starts getting interesting. And I was like, at this point, right before that, I was like, ugh.
We were pulling our hair out.
We were pulling our hair out. We were looking at each other and going, can we fast forward? I mean, I haven't watched it without riff tracks in so long that I was like, how did I ever watch this before?
Mm-hmm. It's we're used to having people make fun of it.
Yeah.
Talking all the time, and it made it much better.
So, I mean, if you're going to watch the movie and you plan on watching the movie and you haven't, here, I'm going to sum it up. The first half of the movie is Bella pining after Edward because he broke up. That's all you need to know. And then halfway through the movie, when Jacob starts avoiding Bella is when things start getting interesting.
Right.
Because he's becoming a werewolf. And then I'm like, oh, well, here we go. Here's the movie starting.
Yeah.
So they actually could have just cut that first half of the movie and made it an 1.5 hour long movie instead,
They could have had the happy birthday party could have been the first scene. They could have done the dream thing would have been fine. Yeah, it was a very effective scene. I actually really like that scene.
Yeah.
And then skip to the birthday.
Go straight to the birthday. I agree with that.
And then your movie is an 1.5 hours and twice as strong.
Well, I mean, that's only 24 minutes, though. They could have cut out a lot of her moping around. And
they could have cut out more of that as well. Because it's not interesting.
No, it's not.
I mean, you just need to establish that she's moping and then what she does about it.
Exactly.
You set the tone of moping. Like, this is where she is. It's really bad. Mm-hmm. And then get to the part where she does something about it. Because that's when she becomes an active player in the movie, which she is the main character of, instead of sitting in a chair, staring out the window.
Yep. Then
it becomes interesting again.
All right. So what comments do you have on foreshadowing and continuity?
There is some foreshadowing. Edward says, or maybe it's Bella. Somebody says something will come between us during their breakup scene.
Oh, that's what Bella says that. Things will happen. And Edward, I'm like, you're not making your case here.
Yeah, something will come between us. She literally just straight out says that, like, during the breakup scene, I think, or right before.
Right before it.
Right, the scene before that.
You can't protect me from everything.
Eventually something will come between us. Because he treats her like a little fragile thing, because compared to him, she is.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then literally something comes between them. So.
Yep.
The danger of having them around her is too much, and so they'll have to leave eventually anyway because they're immortal and people notice they don't age. So it was kind of time anyway.
Yeah.
His excuse is that Carlisle looks 10 years younger than he's supposed to, and people are beginning to notice.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so continuity.
Continuity's fine. I mean, it flows right from the first movie.
It does,
It continues all the conflicts. The characters are true to themselves from the first movie through this movie.
I agree.
Nobody acts out of character.
No, actually, and like when they were watching the Romeo and Juliet scene, we've got Angela crying and
Mike falling asleep.
He's so bored. And what's the Asian dude's name?
I don't know.
Eric?
I think.
Yeah, and he's crying. So they're true to themselves, because Eric's got feels and Mike's a typical guy. He's like, except for when they go and watch Face Punch and he's like puking, but.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I have comments on the romance. So we've got Bella and Edward.
My word is tepid. That's all of my...
Yes. So we've got Bella and Edward and Jacob. If you've never watched Brokeback Twilight, you need to go watch Brokeback Twilight. It's just a stupid little YouTube clip. Anyway, we got lots of smoldering looks between Edward and Jacob. But
yeah, it's like, are they hitting on each other? Or are they angry? I can't.
Yeah. Yeah, so we've got a typical... It's not even a typical triangle because Jacob has always felt more for Bella than she for him. It was, in her mind, she never really would have picked Jacob because, I mean, even in the books, like, Jacob is... Bella's always pining after Edward. She always wanted Edward.
Yeah, she always holds back from him. Like, you know, he's like, they get to like make out point and then, you know, not the place like make out point, but like where they're standing like close to each other.
And they almost kiss so many times in the movie.
And then they don't because she won't. And he totally wants to. And then he holds her hand and she pulls away and he's like, can't I hold your hand? And she's like,
well, yeah, you can, but it means something different to you.
Exactly. And that means no, you can't.
Exactly.
Stop confusing people, ladies.
Oh, okay. I was actually going to make a comment on that. He says, I'm not going to give up. And she says, I don't want you to.
Yeah, of course. She's like confusing the crap out of this guy.
Yeah.
She likes the attention.
Well, it's a great lesson for girls to learn, me being sarcastic. Dangle a carrot, lead the guy along, never intend to actually date them. And I have 5 brothers, and I have 2 of them are single right now. Hi, Josh. And
he's got somebody.
He does. He's got a girlfriend right now, but he's done this quite a bit in the last 2 years where girls just lead him on. And just watching my brothers go through dating where girls are like, I don't really have the heart to say no because what if the other guy's not going to be interested in me? And then like, what if Edward dies? Then I'll have Jacob still.
You need your backup guy.
Ugh, it's so awful.
You need your second stringer.
So romance is the whole point of the story. Edward gone is the point of this book.
Yeah, what does she do without him?
Yeah, exactly. So there's not really conflict. The vampires, Victoria Laurent, they're not really a huge thing. But because this is a paranormal romance, they're not going to be a huge part of the story.
Yeah, it is a thing that's running in the background. It was the climax of the last movie dealing with that group of people.
Exactly.
It's not in this one.
No, but...
They have a presence and they come up later.
Yeah.
So it's basically like, hey, we're still here.
Yeah, exactly. They don't get fulfilled until, like, Victoria doesn't get fulfilled until the 3rd book. But, I mean, this is where they introduce the Volturi, you know.
They do. That's true.
I totally forgot all about that.
I totally forgot those guys.
Me too.
And I forgot about the werewolves.
I mean, the Volturi are an antagonist. I mean...
They are, but later. Yeah. I mean, they are a little bit in this. They just kind of like...
Because the climax of the book is all about them.
Yeah, it is. Yep. And dealing with them. But,
yeah,
you know, there's an actual fight. It's pretty great.
Yeah, I know. It's like something actually happens.
Yeah. I'm like, do they all fight to the death in this series? And they're like, no, we talk it out. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Why am I watching this?
So another point on the romance, like this is not the romance that you want your kids to base their... None of these characters are people that kids should be basing their lives off of. That I really have issue with this because Bella's manipulative and emotionally, she's horrible with Jacob. And Edward's like, you're not good for me. I don't want you. I mean, he lies up the wazoo to get rid of Bella. And then she's like, you said you didn't want me. He was like, it was a lie. And I'm like, now you can trust him? I mean, I don't get this. I really struggle with the romance. I mean, okay, I don't struggle with the romance. I struggle with the lessons that it's teaching.
Yeah, it's entertainment, I guess. Anyway.
Okay, so let's go on to conflicts in the Trifil cycle. Did you have comments on that?
I did not.
Okay, I do. Okay. So we've got, so my comment here, we've kind of hinted at this a little bit. So Edward throwing Bella at the wall, it's a stupid way for him to add conflict. I mean, she doesn't need to be smashing through furniture, you know?
No, she gets a paper cut and then like...
Which is, by the way, like a blood spurting paper cut almost.
Yeah, I haven't cut myself with a knife and blood that much, for heaven's sake.
Yeah. And then Edward breaking up with Bella, I mean, it's too cruel, in my opinion. Her running after him, it's pathetic. Her pining after him.
Then she gets lost in the woods and has to be rescued.
True love with capital letters. Yeah. This is what true love looks like. Yes. All right, so examples of implausible versus plausible. Just again, my comments on the CPR. So Jacob's giving Bella CPR, and she gets up and walks out.
Like one breath and 2 pumps, and she's fine.
Yeah, that's after she cliff dives.
Yeah.
All right, so what are your comments on research?
The time from Forks to Port Angeles is over an hour.
It's an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, so like Forks has nothing. Have you been to Forks? We've been to Forks.
We've been to Forks.
There's a gas station and a Chinese restaurant, which surprised me.
And there's tours for Twilight.
And there's Twilight tours, which we've mentioned before. So you can see all the places where it wasn't filmed, because it wasn't filmed in Forks, even though it takes place in Forks. But it just makes it like they go to see a movie, and you'd have to go to Port Angeles, which is like the next biggest town.
Which is, it's not even a big city. I don't remember really seeing any stores. I mean,
they make it seem like they're in this metropolis, like there's a nightlife.
Yeah,
and there isn't anything. There's alleys. There's not.
Yeah, there's no alleys. I mean, I had some of my books set there, like, in one of my Mosaic Chronicles books, they go there trying to find a dead person's body, Helen, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, researching it, they do have stores and things like that, but it's tiny. It's probably 10,000 or even less people, you know?
Yeah. Anyway, like they make it feel like they tell you like how remote Forks is, but then
feels, the way they film it feels like Portland.
Yeah.
Like the alleys, and
it feels like that. I guess like they're at the edge of the town. I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it's as remote as it really is. Like it's out there, people.
Yeah, exactly. So I would have to say comedy, face punch. Put your gun down, I'll shoot your head off. Put your gun down, I'll shoot your head off. And Nolan's like, where's that movie? Anyway. Okay, so Noteworthy. This is the ultimate teen angst movie. We have a breakup, we curling up and practically dying, but being completely incapable of anything until Jacob comes along. I mean, this is the ultimate teen angst movie with a capital A. So if your teenagers are angsty and they're needing some blue love, black hair hanging in their face, let them watch these movies.
Or don't, I guess. Don't do that.
Oh, and actually, I did have a question on Noteworthy and examples of plausible versus implausible. How much does it snow in Forks?
I don't know. Probably not much. I mean, the amount of I've lived sort of near there. The amount of snow there would be like the most you would have at any one point.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess they assume since like they show December breeze past you as they do like a time moping montage, that you have to have snow when you almost never have snow.
Yeah.
It's certainly not in the quantities that they were showing, but whatever.
I did want to comment on that. I love the camera going around her, showing the month. I think that's that could have been the entire moping and we could have gone straight to her and Jacob,
Yeah, they could have.
Because that showed quite a bit of what was going on during that time, her being mopey,
Big fat nothing.
And I also like how they did it how Stephanie Meyer and her publisher did it in the book. You turn the page and it's like shows the month, like September, October, November, December, completely blank pages. And I'd never seen that before. So I appreciated that, And there's quite a bit more trivia on this than there are on like Skyline and other movies like that are smaller. So each member of the Wolf Pack had to have papers proving they were of Native American descent, which was kind of interesting. And they gave all the information. IMDb gave all the information on which member was from which pack, our Native American, tribe. And the Wolf Pack went through a camp to get buff and bond with each other.
They should have stayed a couple extra months.
That's so awful.
No, it's not good. I'm sorry, guys. I'm 40 and I'm doing better.
You're not 30.
I'm 39 and I'm doing better than most of those guys except Jacob. Okay. Yeah.
I agree with that. I do agree. Ladies, this guy's hot.
I work out. It's fine.
He's like, yeah.
I have a mirror. I get it.
Oh my gosh, that's so awful. We were talking about the study where men look in mirrors like 50% more often than women do. And we've got a couple mirrors in our house, and I have noticed it is true. I walk past and you turn and take a look.
I'm checking my plumage.
Plumage. All right, so Robert Pattinson, this you're going to love this.
Okay.
This is Robert Pattinson's favorite book in the series.
It may be a better book.
No, I'm saying because he's in it the least.
Because he's in it the least.
Because remember?
Oh my, he hates
these books. He hated the series. He hates playing Edward. I mean, all of the trivia on Twilight are him complaining about being involved with this.
Edward needed to work out more too.
I think he did work out, just not as much.
It's just not enough.
Well, and some people don't build muscle, you know?
So start earlier? I don't know.
I don't know that he'd ever get there. I mean, my older brother's body type is, you know, he was in the army and he came back very well shaped and formed, but compared to somebody who builds muscle well, like my other brother Glenn, you know?
Yeah.
So actually, and going off of that, Taylor Lautner, they almost didn't invite him back.
Sad.
They only approved him after he gained 26 pounds of muscle.
That takes like a year.
You know Taylor Lautner?
Yeah.
You know tell us about his exercise regime. Like you were studying it for a little while. It was pretty fascinating.
They did a lot of eccentric stuff, is what it sounded like.
Yeah, so
it sounded painful. I can't do it.
I would say he probably gained 26 pounds in less than a year because filming didn't take that much time and they had to accept him before they started filming. So I mean, there wasn't that much time between Twilight and New Moon.
That's about how long it takes unless you're on, like,
steroids.
Yeah, which I'm not going to make that claim, but even professionals, I mean, it takes a long time.
It does. It takes a long time. But he worked out for like 4 hours a day, didn't he? Like, he had a serious workout.
Yeah, it was a lot.
So they purposely kept all of the red out of the movie until the Italy scene, just to kind of add impact, you know? There's a ton of red in that scene. Let's see. We didn't even mention Europe at all. No, we did not. That's the climax of the movie. I feel like we should probably. So the climax of the movie happens in Italy, and Edward's going to kill himself by stepping out into the sun and frying, or having the Volturi destroy him. If somebody sees him, because the one rule they have is don't let humans know we exist. Oh wait, he can't step out into the sun and fry. That's not in. But people would see him, genre. So yeah, he would be seen. And then he would have to be killed. Not in this genre. Sorry, not in this specific series. The way she does it. I forgot about that. I'm like, he's going to die. Oh, wait, no. He sparkles instead. Ugh. Yeah. Anyway, so, and then she arrives just in time. He steps out into the light, starts sparkling. One little girl notices, but then Bella shows up and pushes him back into the shadows. And he thinks he's dreaming and he's died already. He's like, this is such a realistic dream. And she's like, no, I'm like here and stuff. I'm really here. And he's like, oh, well, then I guess we can go. And then the Volturi are like, you need to come with us. Yeah. And then she's like, and then they're like, well, she knows and she's human, so we still need to kill you or her, either one. And they have to make a deal saying that they'll turn her into a vampire or they'll kill them anyways. So yeah, they're just delaying the inevitable. So it's either do this or we kill you. Yeah, exactly. And Alice is like, I've seen it. She will become a vampire eventually. And then you know, Arrow, right? You know, which is not what Edward wants to hear. No, but there you go. All right. So going back to the trivia, every song on this film and soundtrack was written specifically for the movie. They didn't take anything. And speaking on that line, they wanted My Chemical Romance to write a song for the movie. You don't say. But My Chemical Romance turned it down many, many times. I thought that was funny. Too depressing. Yes. Too much for My Chemical Romance. Many theaters sold out for the screening 2 months before the film was released. And okay, so it broke the record for the biggest one-day gross in the U.S. with $72 million, and the former record was Dark Knight. Oh. So it beat Dark Knight. Embarrassing. I know. Let's see, I think that's all of my trivia, except for one point that's going to be one of my top biggest takeaways. So Let's go into top biggest takeaways. You want to go first? Sure. Number one, pacing. That's my pacing. Number one, too. Yeah, no, they do a lot of things right in this movie, but they do them at the wrong time, and they put too much filler in between, so it lessens the impact of the things that they did well. Yeah. Sometimes you do need to space them so that they have the right amount of impact. Yeah. Because you can't pile things in too quick. You need to give people time to cool down in between, you know, like really exciting or important things. Let the characters and you process what happened. Yeah. This was just filler junk. Yeah. No. Yep. Yeah, I mean, I'm like, I'm trying to understand. Were they trying to fill it to meet a certain quota, like the book, you know, certain number of words? or for the movie a certain length. I mean, was the first movie longer and they didn't want this one to be shorter than the first movie? I mean,
right, because there is that pressure that the next one has to be longer than the ones before.
And I don't agree with that. Like book 2 in like a lot of my series, you know, is a little bit shorter than book 1 because I'm like, I want to tell the story that needs to be told, you know, and so
I think it's better personally.
I do too. And most readers aren't going to notice or viewers if the movie is 2 hours and 10 minutes versus 2 hours or an hour and 45 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
If it's a better told story, then it's not going to matter at all.
Yeah. They never explain the visions that Bella has of Edward.
Yeah, so how's that related back to authors then?
They break their mythology, it feels like. Like, there's just no reason. And I know there's magic and, like, vampires and werewolves.
But they don't explain it.
But it just feels really incongruous. Like, it's just a random power. And you can't do that.
No.
It doesn't, like... It feels like a Deus Ex Machina thing. Like, out of nowhere comes this thing that moves the plot along for no reason, and as soon as it doesn't need to be there anymore, it's gone.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting? Character versus plot, plot-driven. That's a plot-driven thing. That's not Edward choosing to appear to her, you know? That's not a character-driven. She makes choices based on what he does, but he's not. That's plot, you know?
Yeah. So it's just like random events. And it's not like a type of movie where that makes more sense, like a disaster movie.
Yeah. Where,
you know, they're trying to get away from lava or something like that. And they keep getting complications based on their environment, you know? That's a very plot versus character driven.
And this needs to be character driven. That is the style of this type of book, of movie. It needs to be character driven.
Yep.
Good point. Okay, so number 3.
I was going to say dialogue. My favorite line in the movie is, Jacob's kind of a werewolf.
Oh, yes. Jacob's kind of a werewolf. Was that to Alice?
Yeah.
I actually kind of liked that. I thought it was funny. You don't like it?
No, I don't, just how she delivers it. I mean, it's...
Well, we already know that most of the dialogue is delivered poorly. And I would have to say, actually, that's how you cut the movie, is by making the dialogue be delivered in a full sentence instead of broken sentences. That would cut like 20 minutes out of the movie.
No, it's...
Slight exaggeration, but...
Yeah, it's and it's not like me where I have to stop and think about stuff. Like, they have their lines memorized, you would hope.
Yeah. Yep.
And they don't, I guess. I don't know. Or they had to hold up a cue card for the second half of the line. I don't know.
Or maybe they just happened upon actors who all deliver the same way.
I get they all went to the same acting school.
School. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and give mine. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, so pacing. Don't rely on previous book success to push the current book. So every scene needs to do at least 2 things. And this book does not have that, you know?
Some of the scenes do very well at that. And some
like The Dream does at least 2 scenes, if not more. And then others, don't. All right, so, and then next, take a trope and make it yours. Stephanie Meyer was very passionate about werewolves and vampires, and she created her own mythology to surround them. And so if you like a certain trope, if you like dystopians, if you like something, then make it yours. Like, create your own mythology around it. There's obviously a line between going too far out and not being able to find a readership or making things too cliched and too unoriginal, you know? But you need to figure out what that line is for you and for your readers, and then, you know, have fun with it. Mm-hmm. And then the next thing is, I've got a bit of trivia here that I thought was interesting. So the part where Kristen, Bella cliff dives and she's, you know, sinking, in the way it was supposed to be was they were going to put weights in her pool and in her pockets and have her sink down into a pool. But Kristen, she wasn't comfortable with that. She didn't want to do it. And so the director decided to demonstrate. And when he hit the bottom, he panicked and started yanking the weights from his pockets. And he comes up to the surface and he's like, we can't make Kristen do that. We can't do that to Kristen. And so instead they film her being pulled away backwards to the side instead of her going down. And they try to make it look like she's going down or whatever, you know. Mm-hmm. And my point with this is don't force characters into something they're not. So give your characters rules and things that they'll follow, like their personality traits and their backstory and everything. Give them rules and things that they will or won't do, and then adapt as necessary.
Yeah, and part of character growth is changing things they will or won't do, but have a reason for it.
Exactly. There's got to be a good reason for something, especially the harder the rule, the bigger the reason to make a change to that. And it makes it a lot more fun to write when you write yourself into a corner, you know, not necessarily a full corner, but you got to get creative, and this is how you delight your readers, is by setting up rules and then showing them how you're going to work around them.
Yeah. I had one last point to make.
Okay.
The voting scene.
Oh, the voting. Yes, you were going to talk about that. That's
just
right.
the fact that so let's put it to a vote.
Her decision to become a vampire.
Yeah, is not her decision. She puts it up to everyone else, which granted she does need one of them to do.
She doesn't need one of them. She can just go off and find somebody else.
Some other random vampire now that she knows they exist.
Yeah.
She just surrendered
her ability to become she just
her
turned
decision
18 and
her
she's
decision.
an adult.
Yeah, no, the main character decides not to choose and to have all of the secondary characters choose for her.
Yeah, no kidding.
It seemed like, I don't know, a poor creative choice, but whatever.
Yep.
I mean, there's no good reason.
I don't know. It gives us a reason to bring back the family.
I suppose.
To see all these vampires that we love.
Yeah, so I just didn't like that scene.
Yeah.
It was just so wishy-washy,
And I'm personally okay with it because I liked how it showed their personalities,
Yeah, because they all react differently to the idea of her being a vampire.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Rosalie's like, this isn't a life I would choose for myself,
I would have done it differently because Alice already knows she's going to become one, or at least that's what she says.
Yeah,
so she could just bring that up and say, I've seen you become one, and then see everyone's reaction to that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the choice has already been made, essentially.
Yeah.
So she doesn't need to put it up for a vote. We already know what's going to happen because Alice can tell.
Yeah, exactly.
So there was no need for a vote in the first place.
As Edward says, Alice's visions are subjective and they change according to decisions.
Yeah, but I mean, the course they're on at that time is that it happens.
Exactly. Yeah.
How is up? She doesn't say, or who does it to her.
Yeah.
Also, don't say. I think that would have been a better way to deliver it than let's put it to a vote.
Yeah.
It's a democracy, vampirism.
Yeah. No, it's not. The Volturi kill people.
Yeah, no, yeah. And there's some other conflicts we didn't talk about, like the treaty stuff, but it's not as important in this movie. It comes up more later, actually, in the next one. But just to be aware, they do reintroduce the agreements that the Cullens and the werewolves have.
Yeah.
And just like they kind of bring up the Victoria conflict as well. It doesn't happen in this one, but they just want you to be aware of it.
Well, no, she's running away. We've got the werewolves chasing her.
They do chase her.
Her around.
Yeah, no, she's in it, but it's more like it doesn't get resolved. It doesn't really go anywhere. It's just she's still after you from the first movie, just so you know.
Yeah, no kidding.
And then there's a couple cool action scenes with that. But that's good because they threaded that plot through.
Yeah.
They made sure that you are aware of it, and they don't really advance it too much. But they do make it feel like it's coming, like it's a foreshadowing, not within the book, but between books.
Yep.
There you go. There's my last point.
All right. Okay, so that's pretty much the movie. Don't watch it if you haven't already. And if you do, skip the first half.
You could really skip the first hour and at least the first half hour. 24 minutes, I guess, is when I counted. And
I would say even after that, literally was halfway through when things started getting interesting for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it was tough. I don't remember the movie being that boring.
Painful. It's probably because we're always doing something else while we're watching. And when we're watching these movies for the podcast, we actually watch them. Yeah, so
we clear the decks and we're not doing anything else but watch this movie, and we have pencils and paper, and we're studiously making notes, and then
it was painful. I mean, we kept looking at each other ugh. We ended up popping popcorn and
and then not paying attention for a while, and then fast forwarding maybe through a scene or two, and then
not even a scene or two. It was just mostly her staring out the window or where nobody's talking. Just these stupid little montages that didn't need to be in there.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Do you have any updates this week? Anything you're working on?
No. This podcast.
We did talk about
this amazing
going back
podcast.
To doing kids' books again.
Oh yeah, we talked about it. Yes. We have taken no other action.
I've thought quite a bit about it.
We violated our own quote for the day about opportunity comes from action. So don't be like us. Take our advice, but don't be like us.
I don't know. I worked on Crimson Hollow today. I brainstormed the entire series yesterday and got all the thread points down that I want. And now I need to actually figure out what order to put them into the books because I want to tie up the series and start my next series. I'm to the point now where I'm getting anxious to start another series, and I'm really enjoying this one. But I don't know. I'm sure other people feel this way. When you get 3/4 of the way through the series, you're like, okay, let's get going. And so I've dictated about 34,000 words into Crimson Hollow now, and
Halfway.
Yeah, about halfway, a little over halfway. And looking forward to getting that finished. I need to title the rest of the books in the series, though. Anyway, let's see any other updates. I'm going to start doing podcast interviews on other podcasts again. So if any of you guys know a podcast that you'd like to that you would like to see me interviewed on, or that sounds, any podcast that you think I would enjoy being on, then let me know. Andrea at selfpublishstrong.com. And I think that's it for this episode, right? Yeah. So I hope you all have a great week. And what movie are we watching again next? Jurassic World. And then Johnny English. And then we're doing our marketing episode. Again, if you have marketing questions, go to patreon.com/selfpublishstrong and support us. And
otherwise we'll ramble again for an hour.
It was a bit of rambling. I would like to actually focus on launching and relaunching a series.
Okay.
And so we could probably do that for the next marketing episode.
I have a point to make about Amazon ads. I don't know if we want to do it in this one or not.
We could probably do a brief update on what we're...
Because it's a short thing. It would only take a couple minutes.
That's fine.
It's a really important thing. So
we'll do a brief touch on Facebook and Amazon ads.
I feel like it's juicy.
Okay.
So
since we talked about those in the last one, then we'll kind of give an update on that, and that's fine. I think that would be good. I think our listeners would enjoy that.
Our reader listeners.
Anyway, hope you all have a great week, and go put some action towards your dreams. Seriously,
don't be like me,
and don't be like Nolan. Hey, Nolan's actually doing other things too. We are finally settled in. We got our housewarming party out of the way, and we are doing business now. So, yeah, it's exciting. All right, we'll talk to you all later. Bye.
Bye.